there, Postal here. So, well, today we're taking out the P-82B. I finally freaking got it. And I'm pretty damn excited. So, what is this? This is Tier VIII American Heavy Premium Fighter. Not that I needed another one, but I mean, look at this thing. Stupid wargaming and your stupid premiums and taking money. I don't know much about this plane as far as its gameplay is concerned. You know, I've talked to a bunch of people, and a bunch of people saying, oh, God dang it, I need to take the frickin' mod off. A bunch of different people saying a bunch of different things in regards to this plane and how it works. And am I not at? Man, I thought, oh, I am. Okay, cool. I've got Mary Lockhart on here. There we go. She does extra damage when you're going up in the yellow and at a 45 degree or better angle. She's actually set for the P-47B. And she's pretty freaking awesome in this plane, I must say, although this is the first flight I've actually had with her in it. What is this plane? You've got 2 freaking bombs. You've got 10 freaking rockets. You have a plethora, and I mean plethora, of freaking machine guns. I'm actually going to go over here. I need to be at a better angle, though. I started diving a little too soon. I've actually built this plane basically to be a freaking multi-role. Other than the reload speed of said bombs and rockets, I've built this plane to I've built this plane to be maneuverable, as odd as that sounds. It is one of the more maneuverable, I don't like this, one of the more maneuverable heavy planes, that's for sure. Freaking water tower. Always the water tower. It is one of the slower heavy fighters in the game. And it is one of the more maneuverable heavy fighters in the game at Tier 8. So I figured, you know what the hell, let's just try to lean in on that. We're gonna try to see if I can get over this freaking mountain. We can. That's nice. Let's get some hit points back, maybe. Possibly. So it might be slow for a heavy, and it might be maneuverable for a heavy, but that does not mean it is slow for a fighter, or maneuverable for a fighter. You definitely need to keep that in mind. But it is if you compare it to, like, say, the Soviet multi-roles, like this Su-9 that happens to be popped up on screen now. It is actually faster and more maneuverable than an Su-9. And clearly is going to have a lot more bomb and rocket power than an Su-9. And I would actually argue in certain situations it's going to have better gun power. Now keep in mind you have 14 machine guns on this plane. Freaking teen. But they're short range. But it's 14, like, you know, we all talk about, you know, quality over quantity, but the fact remains that sometimes quantity is good too. There we go. Couple good bomb drops there. Excellent. Let's move along here. And I think we're doing pretty okay. I mean, we're doing okay. We could certainly be doing better. Let's go get some air targets knocked out. Let's go see what we can do versus this Su-9. That I can miraculously go faster than and outmaneuver. Especially a bot Su-9. Like, a human Su-9, if there's even human Su-9s out there, might prove difficult. but a bot, nah, not so much. IL-8. The funny thing is, when you've got this many machine guns, it doesn't matter if it's a frickin' tank with wings. It's still gonna melt. That's what 14 freaking machine guns does. It DGAF, you know what I mean? And so what you're gonna do here is just do like you do in a multi-roll. Take advantage of planes of opportunity. I think I set him on fire. And you're gonna go from there. Got this LA-9, this bastard that killed me before. I've got my rockets back. It's pretty nice. I mean, the reload time's 2 minutes on this plane. It's not the best, but it's pretty good for, it's okay for a heavy plane, I should say. It's not multi-roll 60-second level shenanigans. I think I set him on fire. I'm not using premium ammo. I'm just freaking melting down planes. Yeah, we're just gonna boost away from him, and we'll circle back around. Use that maneuverability. We've got just enough speed to do what you want to do as far as speed is concerned. And yeah, we're gonna move along. Now we're kind of defending right now, which is not necessarily the best thing for this plane, but again, I'm playing it like a multi-roll. I'm not playing it like a heavy. I'm playing it like, what do I need to do? Where do I need to go? Who do I need to be? And that's the kind of mentality you have as a multi-roll. That's the kind of mentality I'm going to have as, oh shit. As this plane, I would think I can outmaneuver a frickin' Dora, but who the heck knows? I put the pneumatic control assist on just to be safe. Alright, cool. I think I'm gonna go kill me some bombers. Let's see how well this thing does against bomber runs. Shall we? We'll get our boost back. Should aim a little bit farther. Well, no, we want to come up behind them. So we'll aim right at them right now. Take a sip of coffee. What plane is that? LA-9. Which can be a pain in the butt. But I really want to figure out what this plane can do versus bombers. So let's go for the F-2G first, which can definitely outmaneuver me. Oh shoot, everybody and their brother spawned. Probably not the smartest move I've ever made. Ah. Oh, he's right on me. Yeah, I'm toast. Maybe. Just trying here. Just trying to survive. Don't have the best altitude performance in this plane, but I guess it's still better than an LA-9, so see if I can't melt him down. Oh, I sure can. Key 93 can frickin' snippety snipe me. Probably gonna happen. Some wiggle and some wiggle. He's got a rear gunner, which might cause me issues. Nah, 150 HP should survive me. Especially if I set this bad boy on fire. Alright, can I do this bomber thing I wanted to do? Is the game gonna let me do that? Can I just see? Hit my air brakes here. Well, that was pretty quick. So I'm gonna say this is a pretty darn good plane. I can't compare it to the F-82 because of course I don't have the F-82. But as far as a, you know, 16,000. I was not expecting that. Honestly, I was thinking this was like 10. Let's head back and see what the hell I did. Alright, we are into our second battle now in the P-82B. Plane that I've set up to be a multi-roll. We're going to see just how stupid this might be. We've got a Tu-2 on the enemy team. I'm liking that. We've got a Spitfire 14 on the enemy team. I'm not liking that. It's a kind of funky map, but Remember, we've put Mary Loveheart on this particular plane, which I think is kind of sort of freaking awesome. Let's get up to a reasonable altitude. I really wish this plane could get higher, but I kind of understand having the bombs and rockets lowers its altitude performance. What we're going to do here is we are going to get up to a really good altitude, and we are going to definitely just drippity drop down. We want to get to the yellow on the... Oh, never mind. I don't even need to get to yellow. So we might be able to. Boop, 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 boop. We'll see if we can get the... Oh, so close. If I was better at bomb drops, this would work. Can we get some little thingities here? Come on. Here we go. Let's not crash. No promises. See if we can't get the Spitfire. Got a little yak on his butt as well. That'll probably help, I'm sure. Doesn't even know we're here. Let's just put out a swath of these frickin' machine guns, and we're gonna keep on keeping on. Nice. Perfect. Alright, we did a little bit, we did a lot of multi-rolly kind of stuff there, right? I don't think we got, oh, we got a decent amount of personal points after that one pass. Ooh, ooh. Can I kill secure? Yes, I can. Ooh, ooh, ooh. 14 frickin' machine guns. That'll do any little bit of damage you want it to do. In fact, we kind of alluded to it in the last battle. It'll do a hell of a lot of damage if you let it. Actually, if the enemy team lets it, I suppose, is more accurate. We got a lot of frickin' planes inbound here. I should have been aiming further out. Nope, but he's going to turn away from me, so that's going to be nice. P-51A. No, it can't be a P-51A. It's got to be a D. I just can't, you know, do letters. Ah, shoot. Got somebody right on my butt. And on top of that, we've got the yak, the Spitfire inbound. Come on. Can we get this guy? Yes, good. That's all I needed to do. Get the sector really quick. Unfortunately, died. Luckily, I'm not trying to get a Gabreski or anything. I know that was pretty impressive, huh? Got the sector as needed. We are going to... Let's go ahead and spawn up north here. I know, you're impressed, I'm impressed, we're all impressed. My cat has made it a point, now that I work from home a couple days a week, he's made it a point to purposefully come into the room and meow anytime he sees me talking, basically. Oh, you're talking to people? Here, let me say hi. Like, okay, thanks, dude. Really appreciate that. Dead turtle. Well, let's make him live up to his namesake here. Fire a little bit early on these guns, because you can. Well, that was quick and dirty. Alright, so again, let's get up to a reasonably high altitude so we can get some reasonably fast airspeed. Oh, it doesn't seem like on the P-82 that I need it to be at the full yellow. But we need to make sure we're getting rid of some of these heavy planes. Just some of these planes in general that can cause my life to be a living hell. Remember, I've got this plane built for maneuverability, not speed, so something like the 335 can definitely pull away from me if he wanted to. But I'd like to think I could knock out his engine, maybe? Yeah, I was gonna say, it's a dough. Alright, well, he's pulling me away, so F that guy. I am in need of heading over in this general direction. Oh man, that freaking NC-1070 is, you know, all kinds of trouble. Let's see what we can do here. Set this guy on fire, hopefully. Bombs away. Excellent. That's how we do that. Got the dough back inbound. But he's heading away. Nope, he's heading towards. Nice. Kept our speed up there, which was really important. So there's a Tempest. I can hit on a Tempest. Oh, I rammed that guy? I didn't mean to ram him, but okay. If it was like a Dora, that might be different. Obviously, anything like a BVP 210, don't want to necessarily head on, but a frickin' Tempest. Take the Pepsi challenge on that in this plane. You just have too much. It's such a large volume of fire. Yeah, they're 50 cal machine guns, but they're centrally located. Freaking of them, and I know I've mentioned this. I know I've mentioned it. Like, I know you heard it. You guys are sitting there going, yeah, we get it. 14. We can count. But, I mean, that's a freaking ton, right? Like, let's not mince words with the impact that 14 freaking machine guns can have. Let's show what it can do versus a full health B-32. Shall we? Let's see what we can do here. Now granted, this is a bot, not a human. It's dead. Don't want to ram him. Got this dough coming after me too. Oh, is this guy still turning with me? Okay, cool. Thanks, sir. I'll take it. I wasn't gonna keep going after you. I had to defend myself a little bit. Oh man, I killed that guy right before squall line, but I guess it doesn't really matter because the game's basically over at this point. Those guys are down too low, which is fine. Nope. Pretty good game, not as good as the last one. But again, kind of just shows you what this plane can do. And like I said, I play it like an overkill, like a swall multi-role fighter is basically what this thing is in my hands. Let's head back. Alright, so first battle in here with Mary Loveheart. I think I said Lockhart the first time, which is kind of silly. 13 kills, 3 sectors captured, 4 ground targets, and really I wasn't even doing a whole lot of ground missions, ground targeting. Mary Loveheart, though, is built for air-to-ground ability, basically. We'll go into her in just a second. But 16,000, I mean, this was good versus bots, so you'd expect to be able to do some decent damage. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this plane, and playing it like a multi-role is the way to go. Well, at least with with Mary Loveheart, because she's built for the P-47, and because of that, like, it makes this seem a lot more fluid. But I also just feel more comfortable with this right now in the multi-role level. Now, I don't have it specialized, so my mentality might completely change once I specialize the plane. We'll see. Maybe once I specialize it, you can set it up for more speed. We'll see. All right, again, nothing overkill on this plane, on this battle, I should say. But I've kind of set the plane up to be nothing overkill. We didn't do a lot of ground damage again. Actually, this was a quicker battle, and I focused a lot more on air damage than ground damage. Was able to, drop some bombs a couple times, but you can see what the potential of this plane is. I wasn't put into a situation where I really needed to, like, do a bunch of ground damage. But this plane, the way I've got it set up, the plane can do that easily, especially with this pilot. But even without this pilot, these bombs and these rockets are going to do a crap ton of damage. Cumulative, you're talking like 22,000, which is not insignificant. I mean, yeah, we're not talking multi-role reload time. We're not talking bomber and ground attack, actual damage output. But for a heavy fighter especially, this is incredibly, no pun intended, impactful. I'm only 7 battles in, so this plane is not fully spec'd by any means. It's still got a lot of ways to go. And I've built this plane around the fact that the equipment is going to be minimal, and that the equipment can't maximize anything on this plane. So if we look at the equipment build, stop it. If we look at the equipment build, the only thing you're going to get once you get specialized is an extra engine slot, and you're going to get additional consumables for the outboard engine. And I say the only thing you're going to get. The other thing that you're going to get is you're going to be able to maximize your equipment. Move it from, the improved, the +1 basically that it is right now, and that it can be right now. You're going to be able to make it +3, plus an engine slot. So at that point, I might, mix it up and maximize the speed. But right now, since I can't maximize speed anyway, what's the point of trying to? All you're going to do is have middling speed, and you're going to have worse maneuverability. So for my bang, for my buck, I'm going for this build right here. And I'm having incredible success with this build. First and foremost, I had improved navigational radio equipment. This is actually why I decided to go with the maneuverability build. I figured if I had better concealment, I could detect the enemies sooner. We could play with that. The radio equipment will actually work, obviously, for speed build, probably even better, actually, speed build than a maneuverability build. But allowing me to be unspotted will mean that, even though I might be coming in slower than somebody that's got a speed build, they won't see me until hopefully it's too late, and by then I can use my maneuverability to stick with them. And then we just went all in, improved lightweight wing frame. We've got the lightweight power unit as well. That's boosted my maneuverability up to 48, which is not, again, it's not insignificant. The average turn time is 12.7. That's multi-role level at Tier 8, and we're gonna compare that in just a second. The airspeed is middling at best, and it's actually gonna be pretty darn low, to be honest. And we're going to compare this to the other Tier 8 heavies that I've got in my hangar as well. Improved aerodynamic pylon. I did want to try to help the airspeed somewhat, and this is helping it somewhat. It's impacting the bomb reload speed and the rocket reload speed. So instead of 120 seconds, I'm at 126 seconds, which is kind of disappointing. But because I've got the maneuverability on here, while I'm waiting for my bombs and rockets to reload, that 2 minutes, we are able to, still interact with other fighters and multi-roles and heavy fighters, and really able to put these guns to good use. It is a shame, forward-firing weapons, there is no equipment slot on here, but I mean, that's true for the P-51H, FJ-1, and the Sabre. This is true of 50 cal machine gun planes in general. There's Mary hanging out, having fun. Are you rolling dice? What are you doing over there? Oh, no, you're bouncing a ball. All right, cool, Mary. Thank you. And so, yeah, I think I've got this built pretty darn well for my playstyle with a non-specialized build. Again, this could completely change once I spec out this plane. But I'd love to hear what some of your setups on this plane are if you've got the P-82B. I was really hesitant to get this plane, honestly, just because, not because I thought it was a bad plane, but because I'm kind of like, my mentality sometimes is not as a content creator. My mentality is sometimes as, Joe Postal, do I really need another Tier 8 premium? I honestly have to say, this is a really, really good plane for my playstyle. if I didn't already have, like, I don't know if it's. We'll go down that path in a little while longer. Let's go ahead and let's compare it to some of the other Tier 8 heavies that I've got available. We've got the 262, which is clearly going to be the fastest thing under the sun. We've got the XF5U. This is going to be pretty comparable, actually, to the P-82. And then we've got the P-1056. Let's move all these up to the top left-hand corner, just to keep them separated. The one that is basically, you'll notice, is basically the same is going to be XF5U. It's the gun armament's technically the same, although none of these have 50 cal machine guns. None of these have 50 cal machine guns. Here you're going to have 4 30 millimeter cannons. Here you're going to have 4 20 millimeter cannons, and here you're going to have just a plethora of everything. You're going to have 4 20 millimeter cannons and 2 40 millimeter cannons. The rating for the P-82 is 39, but that's just because you have 14 freaking machine guns. Individually, they're weak guns. Cumulatively, they're very, very strong guns. 728 cumulative damage, about 100 less than the 262, but keep in mind I've got GOA on there. You're actually more than the Pancake, and well, there's not even really any point. It's 1,000 damage, cumulative damage on the 1056. So cumulative damage, you're right there. You're not like much more worse than the 262. It's just the type of gun is completely different. Very short range. You're more relying on your ability to set fires than really anything else. Bombs and rockets. Now, there's something to be said about this. My comment on the 1056 has always been what separates it from the other planes is the ridiculous amount of bombs and rockets that it has on it. Now, keep in mind my 1056 is specialized. I have Demolition Expert on the pilot. I have the ability to have the consumable that adds extra damage to the bombs and rockets. And that kind of impact is going to be noticeable. You can see the jump up in overall damage. You've got a bunch of bombs and rockets on here. Overall cumulative damage right now is basically 29,000 compared to the 22,000 that you've got on the P-82. But keep in mind, these two are outliers when it comes to bombs and rockets at Tier 8. The rest of, and even if you're taking into account premium planes, especially if you take into account premium Tier 8 heavies, the rest of the Tier 8 heavy fighters out there are not known for their ability to do any real damage to ground targets. Yeah, a 262 could conceivably, but nobody's going to put the frickin' bombs on here because you've got the air-to-air rockets that you want to use. Yeah, the XF5U has 2 tiny TIMs, but it's a 3-minute reload time and the cumulative damage is only 9,000. So the reality of it is these are the two that are going to be doing the air-to-ground damage. And the P-82B favorably compares to the 1056. Yeah, there's a decent chunk difference when it comes to the overall amount, but keep in mind that my pig here is specialized. I suspect this is going to be up in the 25,000 range once everything's said and done, specialized. And that's pretty darn good, and you can see why I've focused on the multi-rolliness of the plane. To be honest, I fly the 1056 like the world's fattest multi-roll. I've mentioned that in videos before. The ability to do ground damage and air damage in the 1056 makes me play it like a multi-roll, and I excel in that kind of role, and that's why I feel like I personally, in this kind of role, as a multi-roll rather than a heavy fighter, can excel with here. Survivability, you're kind of in the middle here. I didn't realize the survivability on this. What's the hit points on here? 715? That's pretty darn good. Wow, I didn't realize the Pancake was as good as all that. You're right there in the middle. I mean, you're kind of near you're at between a 262 and a 1056. So I mean, there's nothing that's gonna like jump out at you. I haven't really had an issue. Like every once in a while, I'll get the engines knocked out, but it hasn't been an issue. I tend to get the wings knocked out more than anything else. And when you get the wings knocked out on the P-82 or the tail, you're basically you're just kind of coasting. You can't turn. It's a little bit frustrating. But here's what I wanted to point out for the airspeed. Your overall airspeed rating is 66. And again, keep in mind, this is not the speed build, but I'm still just barely slower than the 1056. Obviously, the 1056 has a jet. That's going to make a huge difference when it comes to the ability to just kind of burst. You are faster than the Pancake, and keep in mind my Pancake's specialized. You kind of have to build the Pancake to not be a speed build if you want it to. You've got to build it on a survivability build because it's so fragile. And then, of course, the 262 is just a 262. It's going to be faster than everything else. So even without the speed build on this plane, I'm still comparable. I'm not, outdoing it, but I'm still comparable. Where you really see a difference on the P-82B is compared to the XP-58, compared to the BVP-203. There's noticeable difference on the speed. But again, I've got both of those specialized, so I can't really completely speak to the P-82's speed compared to those two planes. But right now, there's a noticeable difference. I've flown all of them recently. And yeah, just the ability to boost, the ability to go higher when you want to is definitely noticeable in the XP-58 and the BV-203. It's not quite there in the quote-unquote stock P-82B. But here's where we've got the separation. This is like, we're going through all these numbers to compare these to again, these are just the planes I've got in my North American hangar. I'm not able to compare it to the Doe, which a lot of people will compare as a multi-role as well. But it's maneuverability. Look at the maneuverability on this plane. Even before I even try to make it a maneuverability build, looking at the 203 is a joke for maneuverability, you've got a decent chunk on maneuverability. And so that's why I've gone for the maneuverability build, because I'm going to actually compare this to an I-260, an Su-9. You can outmaneuver those planes. That's ridiculous, right? And so what that tells me is if you can catch a multi-roll out, even an F2G or something like that, a Tempest, if you're coming at the right angle, you can stick with them long enough to actually kill them with your maneuverability. It's crazy. There's not even a close enough comparison to maneuverability on this grouping of planes here. The closest is the Pancake, and it's a full 1.2 seconds slower on the turn time. That's just silly, right? So you can't even. It's just on another level with maneuverability. So let's go with a multi-roll. You're going to compare it to an Su-9, shall we? Nobody flies an Su-9. But 12.5 seconds. That's right there with it. That's pretty crazy to think of, right? The fact that you can turn at the same rate as a multi-roll, even a chunky multi-roll, says a lot. But the honest fact of it is you can go faster than an Su-9, even though the Su-9's got freaking jets. You've got a better stall speed than an Su-9. That's pretty crazy to think about. The overall maneuverability for the I-260, 13.3. You've actually got a better turn time than an I-260. Pretty nuts to think about, right? Now, granted, there's no pilot in there. But, I mean, you compare favorably to an ME-109TL. So, like those non-maneuverable multi-rolls, you're going to compare very favorably to. Obviously, comparing it to a J-21, or a Seafang, or a Tempest, or a freaking BVP-210, which isn't even a really multi-roll, an F2G, which definitely is a multi-roll, but definitely has more maneuverability. Those planes you're not going to want to just get into a standard turn fight in. But, again, if you come up behind them, you can stick with them long enough to actually do a lot of damage to them when you've built yourself for maneuverability. That's what I found so far with this build. I don't know if it's going to be sustainable. It could be completely out of left field. It could just be a bunch of luck in my first 7 games. But yeah. Alright, so last but not least, let's look at the altitude performance. Altitude performance on the 262 is just going to be above and beyond. So really think of this, the 262, is the quintessential speed demon at Tier 8. It's got the speed, it's got the altitude performance, it sacrifices all of its maneuverability, it's got no air-to-ground support. And so, that's what the 262 is built for. It's a lot of fun for that, but there's not a lot of flexibility for that. But obviously it's just going to have ridiculous altitude performance compared. When you're looking, though, at comparing these planes, what's funny about this is the actual rate of climb on the 1056 is pretty low. Because it's a chunky boy, right? Even with the jet, you definitely don't go from, low altitude to high altitude very quickly at all. The Pancake does it pretty well. The P-82 does it okay. It can get me out of a bad spot, but against Tier 9s, you're going to struggle for sure. Don't even compare it to this friggin' plane, because there's just no point, right? Does it compare favorably to the XP-58? No, not really. The XP-58 has huge, huge wings. Like, it's just built to be up high. Even though it doesn't have the jets, it can, and I'm sure if you've ever seen somebody fly it or you've flown it yourself, it can go from, mid-altitude to high altitude very easily. The BVP-203, more of the same. You got the combination with the jets and the props, and so it just goes up very, very easily. The P-82 doesn't. It can get you out of some situations. It's not going to get you out of all of them. And in certain situations, this is going to be bad. But you can see its altitude performance of being 55. Again, it compares favorably to a multi-role position. I'm glad it's a heavy fighter. It should be a heavy fighter, considering everything it's got going on for it. But as far as the game statistics are concerned, I'm building mine to be a multi-role, and I'm having very good success with that. And I'm really, really enjoying this plane. The caveat to that is I like 50 mil. Of course, we all like 50 mil cannons. I like 50 caliber machine guns. In this game, I don't get frustrated by their weakness. I focus on their ability to set planes on fire, to cause kind of damage like that. And you just got to be mindful of the angle that you're coming in at and the angle that you need to leave at, because you can't necessarily trust yourself to be able to, definitely kill them on one pass. That being said, you've got 14 machine guns. You're doing a lot more damage than somebody who's typically being attacked by machine guns does. So, yeah. So, in conclusion, I know people are going to be like, well, so do you recommend this plane? The more I think about it, the more I want to say I recommend this plane. Now, there's a caveat to that. Obviously, I've got a special pilot for this. It certainly helps with the bombs and the rockets. But it was even before I put Mary in this plane, it was really good with the bombs and rockets. Another caveat. I haven't ran into anything that is put me in my place. And until I do, until you find the negatives of this plane, until you find the hard counters to this plane, it's really hard to recommend, because I don't want to say, yeah, this plane is good if it's a well-balanced plane, but watch out for XYZs. Here's the definite weakness. If you're going against it, do this to it, yada yada yada. I haven't ran into any pilots that have ruined my day. I haven't ran into anything that's like made me realize that this plane sucks in some sort of aspect. And so it's hard for me to recommend the plane, because I don't think I've gotten the full experience. 7 battles doth not a full experience make. So, yeah, I'm going to recommend this plane, but with that caveat. I'm really, really enjoying this plane. Really, really enjoying this plane. I'm going to go fly it a lot more right now. But it's a tentative recommendation. Anyway, again, I'd love to hear your guys' recommendations for a build on this plane. What do you have set up for your P-82 if you've got the P-82? If you don't have the P-82, if you're thinking about it, I'd recommend reach out in my Discord, reach out in the comments below. I'd prefer the Discord just because I've always got access to Discord. The comments are kind of hit or miss sometimes. I'd love to discuss what your goal is before I fully recommend this to anybody. I always like to talk to people about what planes are they currently good in, What planes are they? What planes do they hate? Like if you don't like if you don't like things like, well, like any American frickin' machine gun fighter, you're probably not going to like this plane, right? Like if you don't like a P-51H, a P-51D, I'm almost tempted to say if you don't like a P-47, because strangely enough, this kind of flies like a P-47. I think this is better than the P-47s, especially like the Tier 7 and Tier 8. But I haven't flown those in such a long time. This kind of is just like talking right now. It's kind of opening my eyes to maybe the P-47N and the XP-72 have the potential to be better than I realize. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes. Anyway, reach out to me if you've got additional questions. I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I hope I didn't ramble for too long, and I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you later. Bye.